Good morning. This is Russell Griffin, Logger Albert. And this is going to be my Wednesday Stump report. And today I'm in the cab of a 511. I'll show you my view this morning. This is what I do. I cut trees. But today I'm going to talk about the political climate in the state of Maine and how a minority vote has been created in Maine. I think what we're seeing in Maine right now, we could be seeing the last conservative run. LePage could be the last conservative run for governor. Maybe, possibly, someone else might get in, maybe once or twice. But the political climate in Maine is changing so fast that I don't believe in the near future that there will be any more conservatives running the state. And here I'm going to tell you how. First of all, the southern Maine is becoming the new San Francisco of the East Coast. And the gays and lesbians, that vote is going to reach 100,000 fairly soon. And the minority vote is going to reach 100,000 in the near future. So when you have a governor race that's decided by 700,000 votes, LePage won like 325,000 votes. When we start talking about changing a vote 100,000 at a time, when you add those two in, down the road, that doesn't look too good for the conservatives. And I'm going to tell you how they created the minority vote in Maine. Maine never had minorities. And back, my parents used to tell me about this in Bangor at the air base in Bangor when it was a military base. The airport was a military base, and there was, with military there comes black people, and there was a couple thousand black people in Bangor. And like Loring Air Force Base or Brunswick Naval Air, when you have a military installation, there's a lot of black people who come. Well, those people came to Maine, and when the base is closed, they pretty much left. You know, there's a few that stayed, and you know, in Maine, we're not Alabama. There was no racism in Maine. Those people didn't get treated bad. And the way it is, you know, if, say, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar or one of those black basketball players comes to town on a bus, and they get off the bus and they meet Jane, that's a white girl in a restaurant, and he never leaves town. You know, in Maine, that's really not that big a deal. We've come to this point in Maine that doesn't mean anything anymore. But the blacks, they have a history of coming to Maine and they don't stay, and they've left. But what has happened now, back when Bill Clinton was president, they brought in the Somalians. 15,000 at a time to Westbrook, 15,000 to Lewiston, 15,000 to Portland. And I say, why didn't they go to Michigan? Why didn't they go to Detroit? They already had vacant houses. You know, there was vacant houses there. Why didn't they send them there? Nope. They brought them to Maine to create the minority vote. Maine didn't have it, and they knew Olympia Snowe, Bill Clinton, they knew they could shore up the Democratic vote in Maine if they got that minority vote started. And also they looked at the welfare system. They said they think Maine welfare system could handle it. They could handle it. They got a pristine welfare system. We could handle this. And that's now how we have. We have, like, I don't know what it is. It's 50,000 and climbing, and it's going to multiply fairly quick. And now it is what it is, and it is. We're not, nothing we can do about it in Maine. We're just gonna deal with it and live with it. But that's how the minority vote was created in Maine, and it's going to sway the future elections. But anyway, that's how that happened. And another thing on, say, the DEP and LRC, and we hear complaints about them. I've personally dealt with those, and they're nothing compared to what's happening now. The DEP and LRC is, those decisions are, they define the law. What is the law? And it's yes or no. You have to do this, you have to do that. That's the law. But now what's happened is the Nature Conservancy and Natural Resource Councils of Maine and Appalachian Mountain Club, all these environmental groups have come in, and they are determining the outcome of this that the DEP and LRC should be doing. They're overriding them. We don't even need that anymore because these environmental groups have come in and taken over Augusta, and they're actually running the show now. And they're from, I'll say, like Kate Dempsey, she runs it in Maine, and she's from Philadelphia. And they got 350,000 acres in Maine now, and controlling it. How are we going to cut wood and run paper mills and stuff with the Nature Conservancy owning 350,000 acres in Maine and growing? But anyway, that's another side to the political climate. But I can tell you that the mill workers, the loggers, and the truckers, and the snowmobiles, and the ATV groups, all these groups, the lobstermen, they all got to get together, and they got to form this group because they all have similar interests, and that's the only way forward. This group has to become so strong that they have to operate as one. And these union people, like in the paper mills, and these union peoples, the steel workers, I'm telling you, you got to come on board with us, and you got to be in this redneck army, because you've been voting for the Democrats, and you've been staying on their side, and those Democrats aren't creating jobs for you, and they're not on your side, and you've been voting for them. And I'm telling you right now, you're on the wrong side. I think we've seen it with Trump. You know, there's been a big turn in all that union vote, and the state workers and police. The police need to be in on this. You need to be on the side that's for you, because you voted, your history is voting for the Democrats, and I'm telling you, they're undermining you. But anyway, I think some of them have it figured out now. But then what's happened in Maine, we have the wind industry. And this wind has come in, and there is so much money being dumped into these windmills. This is such power that we've never seen before. And they're literally buying Augusta. And they're buying on both sides, the Republican and Democrats. They're spending money on that, and it's unbelievable. And we got some Republicans down there in the Senate, I can tell you. And the Democrats actually have a list of the Republican senators and the Republicans that can be flipped. They pass around this list of the Republicans that can be flipped. Do you believe that? That's the truth. And they tell me, this is what they tell me. There's some women down there. There's like 3 women, I think, in the Senate. I don't know the exact numbers, but there's like 3 of them there. They tell me they have more balls than the men do down there. But that's the case. That's the case. And I think, you know, this redneck army, it's got to come together from all sides. It's got to come together, and it's the only way there's going to be any conservative movement left in the state of Maine. But this is my Wednesday Stump report, and I hope you have a good week.